So what is your childhood like? So did you grow up here?
Yeah, I was born and brought up in the city, Bangalore. I've been here all my life. Born in an old area called Benson Town, youngest of three in a family. I have an elder sister, elder brother, and I'm the last. I was, yeah, I lived here all my life. At the moment, I'm married. I have a daughter who's living abroad. Otherwise, quite happy with the city, although it's changed over the years, and that's another issue altogether. Uh, yeah, that much for now.
Any fond memories from your childhood?
Fond memories, yeah. There are lots of things to be. Lots of things means not dramatic events as some people may have. One was compared to my elder brother. We used to have starched uniform those days, and the pleats of the starch would remain intact. The uniform itself would remain clean and perfectly clean till from Monday to Friday, almost as good as to be worn the next Monday. As compared to my brother, who was very outdoor person and played a lot, and his uniform would get dirty within a day or two. So that's one unusual thing which I used to have. I had a habit of returning home and doing my homework first thing as soon as I came back from school, before and making sure that my needs for the next day are completely done as far as school is concerned, and then I went out to play. That was my general habit. Yeah, besides that, good fun with brother and sister when we were young. When there were time to play around, we had good fun. I did develop an interest in the railways thanks to living opposite the railway station. And as time moved by, we moved to different homes for various reasons. And the last home was pretty close to my school, so it's just short walking distance. But after moving to this last home, around when I think I was in 7th, when my father passed away due to a mishap, and my brother was in 10th, right in the middle of his board exams. My sister, by God's grace, is already married. And after that, it's been challenge for mother and all of us to move on in life, but we managed to come so far in life. For that, we are grateful.
Must have been a difficult time.
Yeah, in a way difficult without a father figure in the house. But my mom brought us up in a beautiful way. We had our values, systems were quite clearly given to us, and we've learned that over the years about accountability, about religious faithfulness, about how to respect elders, how to be punctual, things like that, which were taught not only by mom but also by the school where we studied, and by people around us at that time. So we had a good upbringing, and thanks to that, we are able to make it pretty well in life.
So when did you take a liking to maths?
In my earlier years in school, it was okay. I didn't think so much about the subject. I studied most of my subjects quite equal focus in all. When I came to 5th or 6th grade, I was not too comfortable with the teacher at that time, because her style of teaching as well as valuing our test books was something which most of us in the class were not comfortable with. And so I was not so keen on that. And then in 7th grade, 7th standard we called it, where I came across a teacher whom I liked in the way she put the matter across. Very clear cut, explained the concept 2-3 times, made sure everybody understood, and then got us to do the exercises. So it took me maybe just a month or two into that year, where I started working ahead of the teacher and finishing exercises before the teacher started it. In fact, going ahead and doing the next exercise before she taught it. And slowly, by the end of that year, where I was scoring about 50% the previous class, I started reaching 75, 80. The following year, I was regularly getting the top percentile, 100 percentile, right through from there till the end of 10th. And beyond that. Thanks to that teacher, her name is Mrs. Sullivan. She retired when I was in ninth, and as of now, some years ago, she passed away. And later on, I had another teacher who also passed away recently, Mr. M.T. Thomas, who was my teacher in 10th. Both excellent teachers, both helped me build my ability in maths, realize my ability, and build my ability in maths over the years. I've taken that beyond. One of the reasons why I chose the next part of my career is because it involved 80% of the study material involved calculations and maths. One of the big reasons why I chose the next line of my career.
So how did you get into teaching then?
Teaching came almost by compulsion, but before I get into teaching, I did my +2. And then when the offer came for engineering, I had to build my own resources. I stopped for a year, earned part of the fee required for engineering, and then was able to get a seat in a very popular college in Bangalore, a well-known college. And I was offered various branches of engineering, but I specifically asked for electrical engineering because it was had a lot of calculations involved, and the thought process concerning the topics suited me very well. So I picked it up, mastered all the topics which we were supposed to. But while I was doing the in third year, some person near my house who was running a grocery store asked me to help him find some tuition for his son, and because he had failed in the board exams. Initially, I didn't think very much about it. Then a couple of weeks later, when he asked me again, I said I didn't know. Then he asked me to teach, saying that even if he doesn't pass, it's okay. So I accepted and I started teaching him 3 days a week. I say sadly, the student passed because he got a pretty good percentage, about 70%. The father was overjoyed that his son could pass. And 1 month later, he asked me to teach his other son who was not studying. That guy, first boy's name was Sunny, second boy's name was Joseph. Joseph brought his neighbor, Cyril. Cyril brought his friend named Prashant. And 3 of them studied with me for the next academic year. Then when they went to the final exam, they both got pretty high, all 3 got pretty high marks. And Prashant went to town telling his friends of my ability in teaching maths. By the time I finished engineering, I had 85 students. This is in 1989. And I have never looked back from teaching maths. Reason, although I did like engineering, although I would have gone back to maybe a processing factory or wherever my skills were required, I had a liking for mathematics. I discovered my ability to communicate the concepts of mathematics well to students. So I said, okay, I'm lord of my own job. I don't have to be subject to any superiors. I can take off when I wanted to, which I never did. I was having sufficient income. So why should I think of anything else? And thereafter, I have been teaching for the last 40 years, taught about 16,000 students so far. And by God's grace, they're all doing well in life.
So during these initial days, where did you take your classes?
My initial days classes, I was not married, I was living with my mom because my sister was married and my brother was living in a different city. He was doing his higher studies there. So only me and my mom were at home. So the front room of my own home, the old style houses where we had a small front room and then we had an internal hall and other bedrooms inside old style houses. So in the front room, I started taking my tuitions. used one of our unused dining tables for the front room. Used to have about 7 students sitting around the table and teaching them. I had about 4 batches of 7 each in a day. Three batches on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 3 batches Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Through the evening, from 4 to 9 in the evening. Then as time went by, I started taking classes in the morning. Those who were doing some versus the repeat exams, or people who are studying online versus correspondence courses, those people I started teaching in the morning. That's where I started my classes in my home. I was there till I got married, and about about 4 or 5 years after that. Then I moved to my wife's place in Indiranagar, and all my students shifted to that area. I mean, the students from that area started coming to me. Continued teaching there, and thereafter I moved to different locations, but everywhere I've been blessed with students from those concerned localities, and I've continued teaching till now.
So you have students from different streams. Like how did you like catch up with all these different subjects? Or did it come naturally to you?
See, no, it came naturally, but the key is for anybody in any field, you need to master the concepts of what you want to put across, or for that matter, for yourself to be able to talk about it. You need to understand the concepts completely, such that you can explain it to somebody else. Once you've got the concept and how those things work, whichever course, whichever line it doesn't matter, whichever subject also. If you don't get the concept, every subject will be a nightmare. Once you start with the basic concepts and they're clear with you, any subject can be handled. So it so happened that I did teach maths. They could be from different boards, but anyway, the most of the curriculums are very similar. The only difference is the way the questions are asked and how much of a particular topic is covered for that particular board, which is just about, in those days, a difference of about 3 or 4% between boards. That's not much. Otherwise, the concepts are the same. And I was very, very particular that students first understood concepts before they could answer questions, and never allowed a student to just blurt out answers which will not get them anywhere, in my opinion. Yeah, it may get you a seat somewhere in a college, but down the line somewhere you will get stuck because you do not know what you're talking about. As time went by, people asked me to teach accountancy. People asked me to teach physics. Physics was not a problem because I was an engineer. But accountancy, I learned on my own from books which were explaining well, and then I could put it across to students again for the same reason, because I mastered the concepts, and I got a little bit help from my sister-in-law, who was a senior lecturer and in that subject, and knew the concept very well. So a little bit doubts which I had, she used to clear for me, and so I made sure that every single concept I understood, the whole idea of how the particular matter worked, and I mastered those ideas, and then I taught it to the students. You cannot explain something to somebody if you do not understand it completely yourself. So that's how I've been teaching maths mainly, but along with that, physics, to some extent chemistry for the lower grades, accountancy till final BCom, math I taught up to final year graduation of both BSc and engineering, accountancy up till final year graduation, physics up till high school, chemistry up till high school. Other than that, I've done subjects like stats. Couple of years I did business studies. 1 year I did economics also, but all based on understanding. May I add here that I have not just been teaching and transferring the knowledge to the students, I have also evolved with the subject as time progressed. Evolved with the subject and evolved with the changing times as the understanding capacity and the mindset of the students changed over time. I've evolved with that, understood the mindset, and I was able to put the matter across. Again, another part of teaching is to be able to get into the mind of the student. Anybody can teach, anybody can try to put something across, but you need to understand how the student is thinking when you're trying to explain something to them. Very often, I ask the student to say or explain their thoughts at that moment. Then, knowing that thoughts, I get the track of how they are thinking and slowly bring them around to what they are supposed to be thinking from their thoughts. Then they learn, okay, how it should be thought of and how the things to be done, how the concept has to be understood. So going into the mind of the student, understanding the psychology while teaching, I have understood, and the psychology has changed over the years. Then I can also add this of how this the understanding level of students has evolved over the years. In 40 years back when I started, or even when I taught in the college, the average strength of the class was about 120. Convincing 100.
How do you transition to teaching in college?
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting question. I was teaching for 5 years in the tuition classes, but as time went by, I didn't intend to go and teach in a college because I was very comfortable teaching at home, and the income was good enough. I was quite peaceful. There was a vacancy which came up in a college, St. Joseph's College of Commerce, and my sister-in-law, who was a lecturer there, mentioned to me about the vacancy, but I was not very keen on working in an institution, so I rejected the offer. Somebody else was appointed. Unfortunately, he could not relate to the students, and he could not put the matter across, and he left midway through the year. So the principal requested that I come and fill in the space, at least as a temporary fill-in. It so happened that students liked my teaching within a couple of days, and I finished that academic year, and thereafter the principal requested me to continue teaching there because the students liked me, and the results were coming good. And that's how I got into teaching in the college, and over the years it changed to I continued teaching there for about 16 years in total in the St. Joseph's institutions. All the years have been a great privilege to teach there, taught me a lot about the students, and also helped me improve on my teaching ability. But going back to what I was saying earlier, having taught there with 120 students in those days, or in big groups in the tuition, over the years, the graph of collective understanding has gone down. If it was out of 120, at least 100 could understand, 20 had difficulty. Teachers took trouble in the free time to help them out. Over the years, it became 50 out of 100, 50% were absorbing. Maybe about 10 or 15 years later, slowly has dropped to 20%, and currently it is not even 5%. It has become one-on-one. Every student's understanding of a concept, of a subject is different, simply because they're getting information from different sources. So they are finding it hard to sift through that information and trust one piece of information from the other. So they are trying to merge the piece of information, and the process they're getting confused. Then they get a dislike for the subject and they throw it away. So I stopped taking group tuitions. Now I do teach still, but it's only one-on-one, because every student's understanding is individual. You cannot put 2 or 3 students together. That much for now.
So do you have any teachers as your role models?
Role models in the way they taught, and a system which I adopted when I was teaching in the college in a classroom style. Was my physics teacher was my teacher was my teaching me physics in school. His name was Mr. Abraham. He had this what people would call peculiar habit of making sure there's no spot on the board, absolutely no spot on the board before beginning his teaching. And as required by teachers training, you had to have a plan before you started, and you went through the plan for the class. You had a review at the end of the class, and and next class check on what they did in the previous, see if they're okay, and continue. All these process which he used to follow in school is what I adopted when I taught in a college situation, and to some good extent with in the tuition classes also. That's Mr. Abraham. Mr. M.D. Thomas also was very clear cut, and the earlier teacher, Mrs. Solomon, very clear cut in explanation, which is what has been my very foundation of teaching others, making sure concepts are absolutely clear with all my students. I tell them always, every one of the students, I tell them, I am not interested in your marks. First you get your concepts right, then we'll work on how to get your good marks in the end. Versus managing your time for the exams, working on getting your good marks will work on. But I'll make sure concepts are clear. I know this has been helpful because not at least 2 students, many more would have said it, but I've not spoken to them. But I know that a lot of students have gone on to future careers and given me feedback that they have survived or they have managed their future course study in maths simply because I gave them the foundation in the correct way. There's one student who went to UK, one student who studied graduation here in India and went to the US, and quite a few students have studied, gone for further studies wherever. Okay, some of them specifically given me a message quote, but others have told me orally that the foundation they got from me has helped them move with their careers. And I'll add to that a little bit extra. From my previous students, I have taught about 16,000 students I've mentioned so far. At least, no, not really, more than 100 of the children of the students have come back to me for tuitions. I'm currently teaching in this year 5 of them, but over the last few years, at least more than 100 students have come back to me for tuitions because one of them says, I can trust only you. Other one says, only you can give the foundation right. I'm also known among many people as the therapist, person who's having a scare in mathematics. You send them to me, I'll set it right. Depends on time availability, what best can be done. But given more time, I can change a person's student's perception of their scare and fear of mathematics into loving the subject, and quite a few of them have actually made a career in the subject, actually taking maths as a career. That's nothing great about what I did. It's says that I have been useful to somebody and turning around people to making great careers in mathematics or whatever they do in life.
So you've been doing this for 40 years.
Yeah.
Any plans for the future?
Yeah, I missed out. This, like I said, before I go to the future, one teacher who I missed out was excellent teacher whom I had. He was in my college where I studied. His name was Mr. Shiv Kumar. Another person who was excellent in his teaching, how he worked out every step on the board, made sure we understood everything, even with this high level, which is what I used for the higher level students who study with me. People who are studying for graduation and such. But future plans, given the strength, God-given strength and ability, I can continue teaching for at least another 10 years. Given if I have if I can write, I can talk. I can go for another as long as time my health permits me. I can go on forever. Simply because maths concepts doesn't change over time. Math fundamentals remains the same over time, no matter what, wherever you go. And in today's world, the number of teachers who know their concepts really well and put it across to the students has decreased drastically. So as long as I can, I will continue giving the concepts in the correct way to the students, even if it's a small fraction of the people across the world. So be it. At least a few will get the concepts right and move on correctly in life.
How did you deal with this changing syllabus?
This, over the years, curriculum in Indians, curriculum has not evolved very much. It has been almost the same for over 40 years, except that what has happened is at the higher class level, in fact, all the way down, what has happened is the syllabus has been pushed down. From the post-graduation, some topics have been pushed to graduation level. From graduation level, part topics have been pushed to the pre-university level. That's 11th and 12th, what they call 11th and 12th grade. And from 11th and 12th, to accommodate that, some topics have been pushed down to the 9th, 10th level. So much so, topics have been pushed down further and further down. The young children are being forced to learn something which is way beyond their capacity. Curriculum has not changed. It has moved down the line, and children are being forced to learn it earlier than they can psychologically handle it, in my opinion. Curriculum in this country has not changed, but overall, syllabus content and how the syllabus is approached has not changed very much in this country, but in a lot of foreign countries, the approach of understanding concepts totally and questions based on conceptual understanding rather than memory knowledge are asked more in other boards in most foreign countries as compared to what is done here. Maybe over time we will also evolve and we'll get to that. But at the moment, the curriculum has not changed much except being moved down. So for parents who don't understand why their children can't cope, please understand syllabus has been moved from higher classes to lower classes. So they're learning much more at a lower level. Arguably, people say, oh, children of today are smarter. Yeah, but how much can they take? There's only a certain amount they can take. Then you start putting something which they cannot psychologically handle at that particular age. The brain cannot process so much. Then you're going to have a whole lot of machines learning stuff and they don't know what they're talking about.